to share with the public and the media a scorecard after 5 months of the new Patriotic Party. It will also throw more light on other national matters as far as Ghana is concerned, and also what exactly they are, what is their aim, what is their mission, what are they bringing on board so far as Ghana's democratic solidification is concerned. So without much ado, I'll explain. I'll welcome most of the dignitaries here. We have in our midst Dr. Akwete Henry Mate. He is a lecturer in the Faculty of Information and Technology and Communication Studies at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. We also have in our midst Dr. Frank Bano. He is a lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. Miss Professor Isaac Wedi. He's a professor in finance and the Dean of Faculty of the Accounting and Finance Department, University of Professional Studies, Accra. And a very important dignitary also in our midst is Dr. Mohammed Tawfiq Adamu. He's also a lecturer in the Department of Communication Studies, also at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. Very you all here present. So let me begin. Distinguished guests, friends of the media, esteemed colleagues gathered here this morning, our founding members, it is with great honor and deep sense of purpose that we officially launch the Ghana Academic Professional Forum today. Ladies and gentlemen, the group we are about launching today has its mission and then aim. Our mission is to serve as an independent, non-partisan think tank that rigorously analyze economic policies, advocate for evidence-based reforms, and engage in stakeholders at all levels to promote inclusive, sustainable, and resilient economic development. Our aim is to influence national, regional policy discourse through high-impact research, strategic advocacy, and constructive dialogue with a focus on addressing members of Ghana Academic Forum. We express profound appreciation to all who have supported and contributed to the realization of our vision. With great pride and firm sense of purpose, in the name of the Almighty God and of the Son, I hereby declare that the Ghana Academic Professionals is duly launched. May the good Lord bless us all. Thank you. Official unveiling. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also introduce equally important executives so far as the Ghana Academic Professional Forum is concerned. We also have, who is also a lecturer in the Department of Information Technology Studies at the UPSA. We also have Dr. Justice Kweku Ado. He is a senior lecturer, Department of Chemistry, School of Physical Sciences at the University of Cape Coast, UCC.
We also have Mr. Emmanuel Owusu. He is also a lecturer and examinations officer at the Department of Wellbeing. He is an associate professor in the Department of ICT Education at the University of Education. Call on Professor Isaac Boedi. He is the Dean Faculty of Finance and Accounting at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. He will be glad to come to this podium and share with us the scorecard after 5 months of the new Patriotic Party's performance. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome Professor Isaac Boedi.
Good morning, media. A warm welcome to all those who are here with us this morning. A few months ago, the NDC administration was assessed and was graded, and we offered some advice to the administration. You'll be wondering why we are assessing a party in opposition. And you'll also be wondering why we are doing a 5-month assessment of a party in opposition. Does it happen? A strong opposition is not an enemy to democracy. It is all about essential guidance and about ensuring accountability. Why are we doing this 4 months, 5 months, 2 months? We decided that it's a good time to do this exercise. So we are here today to EP administration, particularly the executive. And that should take a few minutes to go through. We have the scorecard for 5 months in administration, particularly in the opposition. You then need to find out what have happened before over the years. If you take a closer look at what we are presented, when NDC lost the election, the years have been given. The RPC, MPP also lost the election. We have also given you an idea of what they did within the 5-month period. We can't do this assessment without taking a closer look at previous administration and what they did when they happened to be in opposition. But it's also important to look at beyond our borders, what other opposition parties have done. We also studied the Republican Party in the US, what they did when they went to opposition. We've also given you a background Labour Party. We can't mention all because of time, but those who are viewing, I'm sure we can see what we are projecting. Labour Party also did in the UK, United Kingdom. And then we have African National Congress in South Africa. And then we have a country in Germany as well. Just to give you context in terms of what we expect opposition party to do. That's what we are giving, take time to give you examples across the globe. To the NDC. Closely, we monitored the activities from the one up to when we took the data. The minority leader, Afenyo Makin, wrote an article, "We will not surrender to any form of intimidation." That was the first thing we saw on the 3rd, and you can go and check, 31st of January. Then on the 3rd of February, we also had the minority, Afenyo Markin, insists minority will not surrender to intimidation after Speaker suspended 4 MPs. Same minority demands investigation alleged harassment of operator and other former MP and MPP government officials. Then on the 27th of February, MPP handed a restored economy to President Mahama, minority. Then we had 3rd March, MPP press meeting with Afenyo Markin, the true state of the nation. I'm giving you what they did over a period of time. MPP minority hits back on SONA. Remember the State of the Nation address? They also came out strongly, 2025. Then we have 20th March, minority in Parliament holds press conference on alleged intimidation. Ladies and gentlemen, these happen to be some of the activities that we can catalog. Now we also have on the 13th of March, minority speaks on 2025 budget. The government churned out erroneous data to discredit the MPP government, and that was done by Dr. Amin Adam. Then we have something on 25th March, that was by MPP minority holds press conference on Chief Justice suspension. That was done. Then we have 25th April, MPP minority MP's press conference on Chief Justice suspension was done. So I can give you plethora or a lot of information about what they have done over the period. Then if you look at that of the minority and then the national executives, and clearly you can see the minority. You can see the dates, and you can see the activities. MPP-led coalition protests Chief Justice suspension in Accra. We can attribute this to the national executives. But remember, all these events organized by the National Executives Parliament. MPP gurus go on 9th of May, led by the minority as well. MPP defense want to make demonstration over sustained detention, equally. Then on the 29th, then we have 24th of April, minority gives 200,000 to victims of Adun blue light market fire. Having given you a series of events by both minority and then the MPP national executives, we now can look at the scorecard, the parameters that we considered before we arrived at the marks that we want to give to them today. And this is what we do every day. Before you assess someone, you need to let them know the parameters in which you are using. We use 4 steps. The first one looks at, we define the key criteria or the indicators that we used. Then we also, step 2, we match the achievement to the criteria. Step 3, we then identify weakness in MPP national executives' achievements with the period that we are doing the assessment. Then finally, we calculate the weighted scores that we are going to give them today. So I'll start with the first to the 3rd step, and then invite my colleague to take you through the grade you are going to give to them, and then the strengths, and then we give them some advice in terms of going forward what we should do. Right. So we are trying to be progressive. We don't only give scores, we also give solutions to what they must do as well. So first, we look at for the key criteria, and this is globally tested. It's an instrument that you can use to assess any party in the opposition. You can check. First, we look at for, and we are giving definition, what description, what it must be. We assign a weight of 15 weights. Then, communication and public engagement. We assign a weight. Then we have parliamentary oversight, public policy alternatives and shadow governance. As a stakeholders engagement, we assign a weight of 10. And the last one is fundraising and party sustainability. We give them a weight of 10. So if you sum the numbers of, the figures, it should give you 100 in terms of weights. So we are going to judge them based on the parameters indicated that we have given you. So if you go to the next slide that we have, we tell you the criteria we used for activities. So first of all, we look at the reorganization of the party structures. We gave a raw score of 40. They were able to hold national reorganization forum, set up opposition coordinating desks, initiated biometric party ID. They also, the second one, communication, public engagement, we gave them 30. Frequent. Then we also, in the third part, the third criteria, they are using the same indicator, policy, alternative, and shadow governance. They were able to name shadow ministers to major sectors, release critique on the 2025 budget, yet to launch full policy alternatives, and we gave them 20. And that should run through all. And for those who are watching, I'm sure you're able to go through that without mentioning all of the things that they've done. But the key thing is to look at the weaknesses in each of the performance. So if you sum the figures for the last one, fundraising and party sustainability, we give them marks of 40. And that will translate into the figure that we are going to give them on the raw score. So let's look at the weaknesses. Yeah, it's good you can do something in terms of your plans, what you want to do as a party. But do we identify some weaknesses in all that in terms of the criteria that we use? For the first time, reorganizing of the party structure. We said that they were able to hold regional reorganization forum, set up opposition. But what we identify as a weakness in that is not yet nationwide, limited rollout of digital systems, unclear timelines for completion, grassroots integration, a bit slow. So if you go through the slides and you go through each of the criteria that we use, you can then identify some unique, which explains the reason why we assign or give a raw score of 40, a raw score of 30, a raw score of 20 over the period when they've been in the position. The role minority in parliament. Super. Then the recommendation that we are going to give to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof, for the honor. So, like Prof rightly said, Prof has taken us through the key steps in terms of setting the pace, in terms of awarding scores and marks to the new people of 6 out of 20, meaning of 6 out of 20, meaning that they performed in this regard. They could even get 10% of the 20%. That's what they simply mean. Then when you come to policy alternatives and shadow governance, we also gave a weight of 15. However, the MPP was able to obtain a weighted score of 3, which is also telling you that in terms of policy alternatives, if you take the MPP as a political party, and then here we are looking at MPP holistically, we are not segregating the MPP. If you are considering the MPP as a holistic party, they scored a mark of 3 out of 15, which is also woefully inadequate. Again, if we look at parliamentary oversight, now this is where the MPP has had its major strength. And it is not surprising that out of a weight of 20, the MPP scores 16 out of 20 parliamentary oversight. So this should clearly tell you that as far as the MPP is concerned and being in opposition for 5.5 months, the strongest link in the MPP has been its minority. And coincidentally, this also happens to be one of the fewest membership that the MPP has had in parliament. In fact, one would argue that the current minority, with about 88 membership, look far more stronger than when they were about 137 in parliament. So clearly, out of 20, the MPP in terms of parliamentary oversight scores 16, and that in itself would have been an A if we were to grade individually. So in terms of parliamentary oversight, that was what Prof mentioned, 80% if you convert. So that means in parliamentary oversight, MPP scores an A+, meaning that the minority in parliament are doing a yeoman's job. However, if you take the entire architecture of the party, given the fact that the other parts of the party has been relatively weak and ineffective, this will pull the overall marks down, and that is what you'll be seeing at the end of this presentation. So in terms of public mobilization and outreach, out of 10, the MPP scores 5. In terms of alliance and stakeholder engagement, bringing other non-political members on board, the MPP again also scores 3 out of 10, which is also woefully inadequate. And then fundraising and party sustainability, the MPP scores 4 out of 10. And you all here, you are witnesses that in about 2 months or so ago, a party that had been in opposition for barely 3 months came out to tell the entire world that they could not pay the party staff and they could not even pay utilities. How shameful can it be? This tells us that as far as fundraising and sustainability is concerned, the party did not actually plan, and for that matter, in terms of 6 plus 16 plus 5, and you add all, because this is now 100%. To 100%. This gives us an overall score of 43% out of 100. And in exams, I'm sure most of us here, we've written an exams before. So if you go to write an exams and you score an overall mark of 43% out of 100, that automatically translates into a grade of F. So it also means that the 5 months that the MPP has been in opposition, and please pick my words carefully. The 5 months that the MPP has been in opposition, collectively, the MPP has underperformed. However, if you disintegrated the MPP into structures, the minority as a component of the MPP has overperformed. But if you take the minority as part of the MPP as a party, they have significantly underperformed, simply meaning that the other structures within the party have been ineffective since the time that they've been in opposition. That is what we are seeing here. So for the MPP to be seen as a credible opposition force, we recommend that urgent reforms are needed in policy clarity, messaging strategy, and coalition building. Now, one of the things that here I would just oppose the MPP to the NDC when the NDC was in opposition. The leadership in parliament were doing their own stuff, and the party NDC was also doing their own stuff. You see the NDC holding press conferences as a party, and you see the communications director or the general secretary or the chairman of the party leading that particular process. Can you tell me a similar thing with the NPP being in power for 5 months? When the NPP as a party, the national party, wanted to organize and meet the press to respond to the State of the Nation delivered by the presidency, John Dramani Mahama, it again had to take the minority leader to even read the statement. How bad can it be? So we ask ourselves that where is the communications director of the party? Where is the general secretary of the party? Where is the national organizer of the party? And where is the chairman of the party until recently that we saw a letter coming from his family? So clearly it tells us that without the minority, there is actually no political party called NPP. Clearly that is what we are seeing here. And for that matter, we think that urgent reforms is critical for the survival of the NPP. Now we look at the strength, and like I rightly put it, the major strength of the NPP being a political party and being the main opposition party in Ghana. The minority MPs have shown robust performance in holding government accountable, and it is a fact. Without the performance of the minority in parliament, actually the ruling government NDC would have had a field day, and trust me, because just yesterday, Fitch released their rating, which is telling us that Ghana has been upgraded to a B-. And if you read the entire report of Fitch, one of the first most important points they raised that went into they upgrading Ghana's credit rating to a B- was the fact that a so-called debt restructuring was undertaken successfully as at October 2020. NPP sitting opposition until today, from the party has been able to come out to speak to how weak can a party be? Unless maybe the party again comes out to speak. And these are clearly some of the lapses that we've seen in the party. That without the minority, there is no party called NPP currently in Ghana as far as voices are concerned. And it is a very worrying trend that we as academics, we are very much concerned. NPP is seen as a party of intellectuals, and for that matter has intellectual debt. So what happened to that so-called mantra of party of intellectuals? What happened to the mantra that we have the men? Where have the men gone to? That if the minority are placed. Now, let's prove assertions on areas in strength be better opposition party in their quest to come back to power in the near future. Governance. Now, shadow governance, we see a weakness. And the weakness here is that no detailed or comprehensive policy alternatives have been released yet from the NPP. And here we are speaking categorically to the NPP as a party and not just the minority. So please pick my words carefully. Now, we recommend that there need to be a launch of full sector by sector. How many stories do you have? How many stories do you have the NPP dictating within the media space? You hear the or a statement. You don't see anything being led by the NPP as far as the media is concerned. And this is not what an opposition should be. An opposition should actually be dictating the news for the government in power to come and react to. Should actually be dictating the news for the government in power to come and react to. Not